Well, hi. Thank you for checking in here on the BDR lunch gathering videos. We're glad you're here. We want to let you know that we have quite a few of these videos. In fact, if you go to the BDR site and check out our page, you'll find that here under news and lunch gathering, you'll find not only the fact that these educational web seminars are free, there is no cost whatsoever, but you'll find out what's coming up and a complete listing of all the different ones we've had in the recent past and over the past 2 years and a half. All these are good sources of information that I think you'll enjoy. So we invite you to check in, visit with us, and let us know how you appreciate them. There is a little button in the bottom here. It says subscribe. If you click on that to the little bell, you'll get a weekly reminder when new posts are made. And we, again, thank you for being part of our family. So here's the deal. AM radio, all radio, and radio audio is important. How that audio gets from us to the listener bears our careful attention. And today I am really thrilled to have Greg Ogonowski back with us. Greg is going to talk primarily about RadioDJ, and it's now in version 2.0.4.3 and the pro version and some more features. But Greg is also a real advocate of putting your best foot forward. And we were talking about this over the last couple of weeks, the difference between processing for on-air and for streaming. And it's important not just to throw your audio out there to some service, throw it through a audio card that you're not even sure what it is. Greg developed the HLS, which is the improvement over the AA, C++, whatever. And it's now working so that it's built in to your browsers. So folks don't even need to download an app to hear your station in really superb audio. Not only does Greg have a sample site up, but Robert's got a sample site up. You called Airbase, Robert, I think. And I listened to it, crisp, clean, and fed by Greg's processing and encoder. So Greg, before we get to RadioDJ, would you spend just a minute and either confirm what I just said or tell everybody that I'm a crazy nut looking for clean audio?
I confirmed it. I just confirmed it. But I can be a little bit more specific. HLS does use AAC. HLS is, you could say, a new bag. So when you have an audio codec, you need a container to get it from point A to point B. And in the traditional sense, that's been either shoutcast or icecast using what they call a transport stream. They require a connection to stay up all the time. And without getting into the gory details, what do we know about the internet and constant communication and connections? Right. That's not going to happen. So, in a nutshell, HLS traffic appears just like browser traffic. And when you listen to an HLS stream, which I'll later give you guys an eval URL go to, when you listen, what's actually happening behind your back is every 10 seconds or so, the player automatically fetches another 10-second segment. And it does that for the entire duration of the stream. And you might ask, well, that seems a little strange. Well, if you've been watching TV on the internet, that's what you've been dealing with for the past 5 or 6 years. All of the video providers are now doing segmented streaming because it's the only thing that survives the real internet. So it's really time for us to embrace the same technology over here on the audio side of things and do exactly the same thing. We did a similar thing for one of the largest content providers in the world, and that's how that works.
Greg, as we talk about these things, we talk about the levels that are being sent, the new AES standards or not standards. What do people need to know? I mean, obviously, we're not going to send out their 0 dB full scale. But
well, there's a lot of that. And I think an awful lot of people are going to be hard pressed to give that up. They don't usually spend $1,000 on an audio processor to be quiet. This conversation could go several different ways. I'm not sure where to start with this because I've been so deeply and heavily involved with the whole thing. Even just before I left Orban with Bob, when we did the loudness meter. For starters, I have to go on record as saying BS 1770 is extremely, very fundamentally flawed. And let everybody come after me for what that's worth. Simply put, BS 1770 does not hear like our ears hear. The CBS loudness algorithm was a much better way to go. However, the people that put together 1770 were completely unaware of it when they put that together, so they never had anything to vet against. It's very, very unfortunate. And consequently, BS 1770 has turned into a big, complicated mess that's very hard to understand.
I know you have no opinion about these things at all.
I'm telling it like it is here.
And that's good.
There's really no point in sugarcoating this, but let's talk about the goal for a moment. This thing was put together by a bunch of people that absolutely hate audio processing. And audio processing, for those of us that have grown up in commercial radio, particularly the top 40 space, know that audio processing is part of the art. It created a level of excitement, and it does have roots going back to AM radio, where carrier power was everything. And the more modulation you had, truly, the better your coverage. Now, of course, with an internet stream, this is not true. However, in terms of color and part of the art, that's still very much there. So if you want a stream that doesn't just lay there, you've got to apply some audio processing to it. But that doesn't mean you need to run it up to 0 dBFS. And you would be well advised not to do that. I'm getting ready to write an article about why different browsers sound different and why different decoders sound different, because there's some very interesting challenges with regard to peak control in the digital space. If you're going to transmit lossless, you've got no issue whatsoever. There's no overshoot. If you transmit high bitrate AAC, you can pretty much be guaranteed there's not going to be anything to worry about there either. However, you get down to 64 and 32 kilobits, even 128 kilobit AACLC. It's got significant overshoot, which into the Chrome browser or Microsoft Edge browser, they have fixed point decoders. So once that stuff hits the top, it's clipped off, and all it does is makes distortion. So in a sense, you're going to be working against yourself if you run this stuff up to the top, despite the fact that you spent all this money on a nice audio processor. But all is not lost, because that audio processor is still going to give you your signature sound. It's going to control your levels. And if you run it down below zero, you're not going to run into these distortion issues. Now, what a lot of people that are against audio processing entirely want to do is they want to see these things down around -12 to -18 so that all the peaks fly through. Well, that's great in theory, and everybody thinks that audio should be transmitted this way. But you know, when you get right down to it, when you get in the car and listen to this, this falls under the category of you should be careful what you wish for. A, taking the audio down 12 to 18 dB in many cases doesn't give you enough volume on a mobile phone to be able to hear the stuff in a noisy environment. And B, who wants to listen to this stuff with your hand on the volume control? I rest my case.
Greg, I could listen to you talk about this for the whole hour and then some. And I know a lot of people really appreciate your view in this matter. And those that don't appreciate it need to. They need to think about what you just said and the fact that just because you put something on a stream, just because kids think MP3 is wonderful, it's not going to give you good time listening or people that come back to your stream later. As I say, I listen to what you put up. I listen to what Robert put up, and I just let it run because it's
you know, let me state something here. Us old guys, we grew up with AM radio. That stuff sounded really horrible when you get right down to it. And when you get right down to it, MP3 was a dramatic improvement over AM radio if you threw enough bit rate at it. So, you know, this whole thing is evolution. It just keeps getting better and better. We're getting to the point of diminishing returns. But the reason I'm so down on MP3 is because it's 20-year-old technology at this point, and we can do so much better. And so easy to do it at this point. AAC is all built into current generation operating systems. There's really no reason for any MP3 anymore. And now we're on to being able to support lossless. And you might think lossless, oh yeah, but look at the bit rate. Hey, you're sitting there watching all this video on your mobile phone. That stuff is like, you know, 4 megabits, and lossless audio is down at 1. So what's the problem? But then we get back to, you know, let me touch one more point on this no audio processing. A live stream is not an STL. It is an entertainment medium, and you're supposed to polish that thing and give your audience something that they can enjoy listening to without having to, like I say, listen or even watch, in the case of television, with the remote control or the volume control in your hand. And it's very much like the video end of things. You think Hollywood shoots and throws it up on the silver screen or throws it up on TV? I don't think so. Hours on end go into video processing to get that just right. And to take all this audio content and just throw it up when levels are all over the place, it's the same sort of thing. So where people think that the stuff should be streamed without touching it, I don't know where this comes from.
It comes from a misunderstanding of life. You know, we go back.
It comes from a misunderstanding of what we're trying to do in providing something that's entertainment worthy.
It was back in what, late 60s, early 70s, back when you were starting your processors and Mike and I were doing ours. We realized that in a car, you had a, what, 10 to 15 dB dynamic range of what people would hear. And if it went below that, it was like the station suddenly turned off.
Yeah, and some of these loudness meters that I see that have got like these dynamic range things, and it's a parameter in there, and somebody has made some judgment that they have determined that if you don't have enough dynamic range, well, this is bad. Well, who are they to determine that? You know, there was a song by the Raspberries called "Go All the Way," and there's a story behind how all that happened. Eric Carmen tells it, and there's an interesting story. But "Go All the Way" wouldn't be "Go All the Way" if it wasn't hammered to death. That was part of the art, and we're not here to determine this.
Gordon Carter stuck up a chat note here that is right to the point. What he said, what you said about low levels and hands-on volume control is even worse with something like classical music. Sounds like the battle I've been waging for years, that classical music need more and better processing just to be heard in a typical environment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, like anything else, there's different degrees of processing. You can do it lightly, or you can do it over the top. And it all depends what you're looking for. But to run this stuff without anything at all, it's, in my opinion, painful.
Do you think we're going to come to a point where receivers will have some adjustment on dynamic range in them?
Well, the XHEAAC audio codec has this. It's very much like Dolby AC3 and AC4 with profiles and whatnot. So the answer there is yes. And if you use Fraunhofer's XHEAAC as opposed to the generic MPEG, which is USAC, Fraunhofer's X, this dynamic range control stuff is all mandatory. So it's all built in. And you'll notice that on the eval streams that we have up with the X, since we're Fraunhofer licensees, those streams will come up about 12 dB quieter than the other ones because the decoder loudness thing kicks in. It's a static parameter, so it doesn't sit there whacking away at it in addition to what may already be applied. Don't misunderstand that, but it does set it at a static level about 12 dB lower, and take that for what it's worth.
I appreciate that.
Apple, on the other hand, they support X, but they support it with USAC, so they do not have the mandatory loudness control. So if you were to listen to one of our X encoded streams through a Safari browser, for example, it comes up full tilt boogie at full level.
Richard,
I know this now gets even more confusing.
Yeah. Richard says that this sounds like a topic that hopefully or should be an AES paper. But as you and I talked yesterday, as you said earlier, the AES committee is filled with people that hate audio.
Yeah, they just don't want to deal with audio processing for some reason. I don't know what to say. I mean, you know, that whole thing over there, I mean, every single hit record uses audio processing. It's the means to the bank.
Yeah. If you had a $25,000 stereo system in your living room and you wanted to, you could hear 60 dB of audio and crashing cymbals and thumping drums and
You know, if you want
soaring.
60 dB dynamic range on a classical presentation, I can understand that. I can truly understand that. But the majority of what's on the internet, there's very little there. You know what's funny? Yeah, AZPM, Barry, our buddy John Gold.
Yes.
They inadvertently disconnected the audio processing on their lossless stream a couple of months back. And guess what happened? They got a bunch of complaints.
I wish you had mentioned John's name before. We probably could have gotten him with us today.
Oh, let's see, what is it? It's 11:30. Oh no, John's still sleeping.
All right. Ken Fine wants to, and we'll get on to RadioDJ here pretty quickly, but he wants to know the number of bands of processing is variable for different types of music. What's your opinion on that?
We settled, or I should say, I settled on that 5-band design years ago because there is some very magical arithmetic that happens with third order filters, which is really another topic. But all of that came out of an AES paper that I read eons ago, having to do with loudspeaker crossovers and whatnot. Let me just put it this way. With nice 5-band crossovers that I ended up designing for that system, you end up with some inherent loudness control. You could think of this thing as like a multi-band mix, where each of the bands is a different instrument. And as you bring these instruments up, you end up with this total mix and you end up with this level. And as you bring a band down, of course, everything comes down. So if you have narrowband material like speech, for example, speech will inherently be quieter, which is exactly what you want to have happen when you're trying to control these levels. When you have a broadband compressor, and this was an argument that I used to have with the elevator music people years ago. Oh my God, you can't put multiband processing on this stuff. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Well, it was okay to have a broadband limiter sitting there whacking away at everything, pumping and pumping, but it wasn't okay to put something multiband on it that would sound natural. Once again, I'm not sure where this thinking came from, but it's amazing how nice some of those instrumentals sound when you running the Holly Ridge strings through something like that 5-band crossover. It's pretty amazing what you get. But you get this, like I say, you get this inherent loudness control.
Apparently,
Does that pretty much answer your question on that, Ken?
As we talked last week, Mike DeRoe and I is on 3. You had 5, but you had such a kick-ass bass, man. Clean.
Well, they were third order filters. So if you were to shut everything off and listen to just band 1, for example, which you can in an Optimod to this very day, you get just the bass player and the kick drum.
Yeah.
That's all you get.
If you have more than 5 bands, it gets really, it's almost like politics. But if you have 5 bands and each band is compressing their stuff in their territory, you get an overall louder sound. But by increasing a specific group of instruments or something, you're actually changing to a degree, probably more so in classic music, the sound of the orchestra.
There is no question. There is absolutely no question that that is what happens. That's also part of the art here. And a reason why you can diminish the number of bands in an Optimod should you opt not to do that. But for classical, you generally run these things really, really light. John over there at AZPM does run the thing in 5-band mode, but it's just tickling. It's just tickling up there, just enough so that if something gets out of control, it takes that down by itself. But you know, if you've got a gargantuous number of bands in there, and you have narrow band material, then things get really strange. And yeah, you do remix the material. You do. Let there be no mistake about that. You're absolutely correct.
Richard says, sounds like there's a need for a reminder of the now old THX line. The audience is listening. If we forget about the audience, why do anything at all?
Actually, a lot of that easy listening stuff came from Jim Schulke and Herb Joel.
Yes, a lot of it did.
Smoke and Mirrors.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of those guys never had an opportunity to hear a really good multi-band audio processor.
I don't remember if it was Schulke.
That was another problem.
Well, let's go back. Let's come back to that maybe another day and discuss multi-bands and things like that. But really, we brought you here today for Radio DJ, and I want to give you time for that. And
I was thinking.
would you tell? I mean, this is a project you've worked on for quite a while. And,
yeah, we're getting ready to release this thing finally. And should I take it from here, Barry?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We're going to do something here that we've never done before. So if this is a complete utter failure, don't hold me to this, guys, because I've really never done this live before. I've done it 10,000 times here beta testing, but I've never done it live on a Zoom. But I have no reason to believe that this shouldn't work. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. But let's start out with just a couple of little fundamentals. I think we all know that RadioDJ is a playout system. I think there are a lot of misunderstandings about what RadioDJ is and what it isn't. But by and large, most people don't seem to realize that there's a free version, and with a free version of software of this, it can't possibly be any good. Well, I'm here to disprove that, and I'm going to show you the amount of power that you have in this thing. It should blow you away. But one of the other misunderstandings about this thing is I think people are a bit taken by the fact that there's a database involved. And as soon as they hear that, they like freeze and think, what am I going to do now? Well, let me tell you, all your high dollar, $15,000 a seat playout systems are all database driven as well. So this one here takes no exception. So let's start out. I'm going to open this document here, and I'm going to attempt to share my screen. And let's see this work.
Here it comes. There you are.
Oh, there we go. Everybody see this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. This is the fundamental block diagram of a radio DJ install. And for the most part, it's pretty much the fundamental block diagram of any other competent playout system as well. Can we see my mouse? Can
Yes,
we
sir.
see that? Okay, good. All right. The RadioDJ application runs here. It connects to a standards-based SQL database, and it picks up its audio inventory from local storage. Now, one of the beautiful things about RadioDJ is it is completely scalable. So you could take all of this stuff and run it on one simple computer, which we're going to show today. Or if you'd like, you can break all this apart. You can run the SQL database on a separate computer if you want to spend lots of money. You can put the audio file storage, once again, on yet an audio file server if you want to spend more money. And then you can run the RadioDJ clients on as many more computers as you'd like if you want to spend even more money. But I'm going to show you how to do this all for free. I know it can't possibly be any good, can it? Okay. That said, the first order of business with getting this going would be to install the database, which everybody thinks is the scary part. I have pre-downloaded MariaDB, which is the SQL database that we recommend. It's free and easy. So we're going to double click on this and we're going to see what happens. This is the part that I've never done live before. So far, so good. And we're going to take this, and this is really complicated to install. You take all the defaults. Oh my God, we have to type something. Whatever.
Why are we seeing Barry in the background?
Let's call it. I'm completely typing elsewhere. And before we go any further, I want to point something out that's very important, and it's the only thing about this that is a little confusing. You see this tick box that's down here that says use UTF-8 as default server's character set. That thing is a little confusing because by default, MariaDB, the current version, uses UTF-8MB4, multi-byte 4. And that's precisely what we want to use. So by not ticking this, you're going to install MariaDB with UTF-8 multi-byte 4. What that gives you is a database that is capable of installing any character set in the world, including being able to use emojis. So that's the only thing you need to be aware of. You don't tick it. You simply type in and assign a password, and you click next, and you click next, and you click install. And let this thing do its thing. This might take a few minutes because I noticed earlier when I went to uninstall it, it took a while because Zoom is running. So hopefully it can get through this while Zoom is in fact going. So let's just, yeah, we're looking good. Just let it go. And what ends up happening here is MariaDB installs as a Windows service, and it will just automatically run whenever you start the machine. There's really not a whole lot of interaction involved with this. Ah, the grass is growing. Come on, baby.
What's the
Normally
relationship
this
between
does so much.
what's the relationship between MariaDB and MySQL?
They're the same protocol. MySQL is governed by the licensing of Oracle, and MariaDB is not. RadioDJ will, in fact, run using MySQL. It will also run with using Microsoft's SQLite, but I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Normally this goes pretty quick, but I'm on a little Microsoft Surface with all of this, and it's got, shall we say, resource issues. Now you'll notice down here in the corner, this installed Heidi SQL. That's a little app that for SQL experts, if they want to manipulate the database directly, Heidi is an application to do so. It is not required for RadioDJ normal operation, but installs as a utility. And there we have it. Okay, so MariaDB is now running. You don't even know it. And now we're going to install RadioDJ. This happens to be the pro version that I'm going to show you, but the free version looks identical. Accept the agreement. Once again, pretty complicated stuff. Take all the defaults. Okay. In this case, it says it already exists because, yes, I have had this on this machine before, but in normal circumstances, it would ask you the opposite question. Do you want to create the directory? Obviously, take yes, hit it and get it, and it's going to do its thing.
This is so complicated. I don't think I need a 10-year-old to help.
Well, this is really what I'm saying here. Okay, so now the first question that's going to come up here is it's going to say start database setup. So let me explain what this means before I hit go or finish here. We've obviously already installed the database. So what this is going to do is it's going to start the RadioDJ database connector. So that should come up here. There we go. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So this is the way this thing is going to come out of the box. And this configures RadioDJ to talk to the database. Now, we'll leave that as root. We'll leave the database name as that. And we're simply going to take the password and type in password, which is what I assigned for MariaDB when we installed it. We can validate the details. You can see my SQL Server in the lower left corner says it's online. So that looks good, but there is no database. So let's go ahead and install it. That will create the database entry as opposed to installing the database software. So we're going to take yes. This is now making the database entry into MariaDB, and we're done. Close this. Now, lo and behold, we have RadioDJ ready to. So is everybody following me so far?
So far, so good.
Everybody still see me?
I see RadioDJ logo.
Perfect. So this is what happens. It's loading the application. It's connecting to the database. And there we have it. And we now have a new database. Everybody can see my mouse, yes?
Yep.
This is where the audio inventory will show, but we have a clean database with nothing in there. So let's take care of a few things first. Let's go down here to the wrench and go down here to options, and let's make sure that we have a legit audio device, sound device. I'm using Wasapi, which is in the Pro version only. Your other option will be direct sound, which is in the free version. We'll just leave that as it is. And you can see here, I'm going to install, I just have one audio device installed on this. Happens to be a Presonus Studio 68C, but the Pro version allows you up to 8 separate outputs. So if you had a multi-channel sound card, in this case, I can get 2 more out of this. You can see 3 or 4 could go in here, but I don't want to do that. I'm going to keep that disabled for the purpose of this demo. Whoops, I missed. Okay, let's just leave that. Yeah, I was afraid that was gonna happen. Every time you change audio devices, you need to restart RadioDJ in order for that to happen. But since I haven't really changed anything, we might be okay. Let's hope that that's the case. Okay, but we now have an audio device assigned. So the first thing we need to do is get some audio into this thing. So let's go into the tracks manager, and you have your choice of importing a file at a time or an entire directory. And RadioDJ has the ability to import either tagged files or completely untagged. Let's do the simple first, and we're going to do tagged FLAC files, because you're going to see how simple and how everything gets automated when you do this. So let's go into import the folder. And to be on the safe side in this case, we're not going to do subdirectories, because I'm going to point this over to a specific directory on my local C drive. I'm going to go to audio, and we're going to go to FLAC, and we're going to take that entire directory. We're going to tell it that it needs to be the music category, and these are the subcategories are all user configurable, but just for the purposes of this, let's choose heavy rotation, and in genre, let's make that go to other, just for simplicity. Okay.
How were they tagged? Was it Cart Crunch, or how was that?
I'm sorry, say that one more time, please.
How was it? How was your music tagged? Like Cart Crunch?
The music was tagged from the Ripper that I use, and now's a really good time for me to recommend this Ripper. It's not free, but it's not expensive. It's like about 40 bucks. It comes from a company called Poikosoft, Poikosoft. I highly recommend this thing. It does everything. It literally does everything, and it gets tagging very, very right.
Will it read Cart
That could
Crunch?
be that could be another presentation, because it's called Easy CD Converter. He has a companion application, And a lot of times he throws them both on special. It's not exactly 2 for 1, but you get them both for a reduced price. It's an easy CD meta editor or something, but it's a metadata application, and I really strongly recommend these things. But we can go there maybe at a different time. So we've got everything ready to go here, and it's good. We're gonna simply, this is tough stuff again. We're gonna push on that, and here we go. Okay, it just imported what I had in that directory. This is a little bit of a thing we need to fix, because normally they should show up there, but if I need to provoke this with a space in here, and then you can see what I just imported, and that's in the tracks manager, but we're done with that. So now you can see the audio inventory over here in RadioDJ. So here's something else that's complicated. You drag that over there and you hit that for play, and hit play over here, and yeah, it did need to be restarted because of the audio device thing. Let me restart this to satisfy that requirement.
Huh. Is Barry's picture part of the install?
I don't know what you guys are seeing, but no, it wouldn't be. Okay, this should go now. Let's just see. Yes. Okay, so I just dragged one of the tracks over, and it's playing right now. But by design, you shouldn't hear audio because we don't want to be tagged by YouTube. So there are a number of ways to build a log in this thing. But obviously you can see that getting this up and going is not nearly as difficult as you might think. If you want to build a log, you could simply drag a bunch of things over. Okay, and then you could, that will play in manual mode. There are other options. If you go into options, you can configure the auto DJ. And if you have an internet only stream, this is what I urge you to do. You would enable on startup, you would autoplay on startup. But what you need to do firstly would be to create a playlist. So you want to go down in here and go into playlist builder. You could build a static playlist in here by simply taking content here and taking it down to here as such. Do whatever you want to do in here, and then simply save the playlist out, save playlist. You have your options of saving the playlist as an M3U file, or you can save the playlist into the database. So you can go either way on that. Another common thing to do is to do something with Auto DJ that's totally random. And that's an interesting thing. And for internet only streams, if you want something to run totally unattended, you can make all of that happen with a thing called tracks rotation. So you would go in here and you would grab a track from category, for example. And as you recall, we put all of that music in heavy rotation. We'll leave it at any genre and we'll take OK. And then we will take and we will duplicate this just so that it gives us more entries. We will then save the rotation here and save the rotation here. And then if we go here to close that, we go in here and then we go into the options business that I showed you before to configure Auto DJ. Let's turn all of the Auto DJ business on. And we're going to go here and we're going to go here and we're going to put this on manual. Now, since this is the first time going in, it doesn't know about the rotation yet. So let's go ahead and satisfy that requirement. Let's hit save there and it will save this as the default. And now what will happen, I'm going to close this and we're going to reopen RadioDJ. And we're going to see everything build all by itself. Boom. There we go. She's already playing and she already built a playlist. How cool is that? So now you have this playlist over here being chosen fully at random to get audio up immediately, and this thing will play literally forever. Now, some more powerful things about this. I've got a zoom thing that's sort of in my way. I got to try to see if I can see around this. Yeah, metadata export. Okay, this is very powerful. This is all the metadata that will go out to wherever you need it to go. Unlike a lot of these other playout systems, they give you very, very limited metadata output. But RadioDJ gives you anything from a file, being able to post this directly to a web server, a streaming server, or the most powerful one is the network. And this is what you would use to send your now playing information to something like a Streams live encoder. You would simply, if you want to run the live encoder on the same machine, you could too, in which case you would simply do a 127.0.0.1. You would get a template. Let me see if these are in here. Yeah, here's one. We can use this one. Okay, throw that template in there. You would throw in the port that you have assigned into your encoder. You would enable it. You would hit plus. It would show up in here. You'd hit save, and you're now sending live title and artist information out to the streaming encoder. And you can line up as many destinations as you need to, including RDS encoders if you need. If you need to hit your RDS encoder with a serial, you've got that. You've got the ability to hit filters in here so that only certain content will send out the metadata. You can do whatever you want. It's extremely, extremely powerful. Now, here's something else that is going to blow you away. Let's say, for example, you want to run more than one stream on a computer. So let's go in here to the File Explorer. Let's go in here to where this thing installed. It went here. All you've got to do, I just did a Control-C. And I'm now going to do a Control V. And you now have a copy of that directory. And let's just call that 2. And you now have a complete RadioDJ install ready to go for your second program. This works for the free version and the pro version.
You would just assign that second one to a different sound card and all that?
That would be correct. In the case of, let's say you were building something that was internet only, you don't even need a sound card. You would install something like virtual audio cable and assign the sound devices away. And I can show you that on this particular machine. VAC is already installed, and it's right here as line 1 and line 2. You would use those to get your audio in and out, and you don't even need a sound card. If you wanted to listen to one of those because you needed to monitor it for whatever reason, built into Windows is this business where you would go into recording and you would go into, let's say you were using line 1, for example, you would go to here, you would go to here, you would go to listen to this device, and then you could point this to the default playback device, in which case it would allow the virtual to pipe the audio to a sound device that was actually connected to something that you could listen through.
I know you're presenting this for internet, but could you run 2 radio stations on this?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, we've got some systems here that are running 8 versions of this with 8 different programs on it. The eval stream let's see here. Let's do this. I don't want to run the risk of this coming up because the last time we did this, Barry said it turned out to be a problem. So everybody can see this, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That URL will get you to several of the eval streams. It gets you to a selection page.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll edit it out.
Okay. Here we go. I just did a Control C on that, so I can copy it. And I'm going to bring up another Chrome. I did something. That's me. That's me. Yeah, I didn't get all of it. Hold on a second here, you guys. Let me just type it in. I didn't swipe that very well. That was my mistake.
Don't worry about the call. It's just the IRS.
Did I get that right? Oh, one more thing. Okay, so that's where we get to. And, oh, let's take this one. Okay, this is the older player, but this is what you got. And this, I don't think anybody's hearing any audio, right?
Correct.
Is that correct? No audio?
No audio.
Perfect. That keeps everybody happy. But all of this information up here is all being scored out of RadioDJ. And there's a couple of various emoticons that are being sent so that you can see that everything is properly configured for that UTF-8MB4 that I explained. Without going into the gory details, the smiley face happens to be a multi-byte 4 character. And if you were to choose just UTF-8, the smiley face would not show, because it's, if anybody's familiar with the term up in the glove box, it's high end frequency. It's a geek joke, sorry. But anyway, you saw the title and artist change. It's all very real time. There's no waiting like an IceCast. The HLS has millisecond timing on its metadata, which allows it for very accurate content insertion control, such as ad insertion, and no more embarrassing ads playing on top of one another and whatnot. If you scroll down here, you will see there are 2 XHEAAC streams. These work in 2 different ways. This one, let me just see which one this is. One of these won't work in Windows 10 and the other one will. This one will work in Windows 10. This is the new one, and this one will work in Windows 10 because Windows 10 does not have the XHEAAC decoder, but we have some special sauce that allows it to work. And if anybody's curious, you can listen to all of this here, and you'll notice, if you'll see right here, it's all of 40 kilobits. The audio quality is going to blow you away when you listen to this on your own. So this, in a nutshell, is how to get RadioDJ up and going ASAP. And no need to be intimidated by this thing.
Now, all the data comes from the Ripper you like? Album
Oh
art?
yeah. Let's look at that real quick.
Will it read standard cart chunk?
This does not support cart chunk. It's the only thing it doesn't support. I have been half tempted on talking to the guy who wrote this software. He and I are buddies. I've been half tempted on asking him to maybe support that in here. The problem with cart chunk, it is only ASCII. So for anybody that needs any kind of international character sets or any of the enhanced characters that a lot of artists are now using to title their stuff, it's no good. And you're much better off using ID3 v2.4 or in FLAC. FLAC uses UTF-8 internally as well. It's a much better way to go. But here's this thing, the Easy CD audio converter, and it's got everything that you could imagine here except cart chunk.
If a station were to buy this program and they already had like BSI or, BE or something that's in cart chunk, and they put this music that's already been cart chunked through your device, would that cause any problem?
No, it wouldn't. And there are a number of ways to go here. As I mentioned when I brought, you know what? Let me do that real quick. let me show you real quick. Let's do this. Okay, she's going to go because we've told this thing to do everything all automatically. But let's go into the tracks manager.
Go ahead and grab the screen again.
I'm sorry, one more time.
Go ahead and grab the screen again.
Oh. Right, you are.
There you go.
Okay. All right. So let's go in here to Tracks Manager, and I have a folder here of audio. Let's just do the same thing again for consistency. I'm going to point this over to here. These are untagged WAV files. And these files are named with nothing more than the song name in their file name. Here's what's going to happen. Once again, I need to provoke that. Now you see there's no artist, but it did grab the title from the file name. Okay? Now, if we go in here and we look at one of these unknown artists, which were one of those, and we go into the edit the track, we can now edit the metadata by going into the details. And you can see the title went in there, and there is no artist, but you could put that in manually. And you can hit save. And
so if you did have cart chunk and it hadn't assigned, but it was like WW34658, and the title and genre and artist was all in cart chunk, you would have to go back and read, because if it can't read the cart chunk, all it's going to see is the title. I mean the number.
Yes.
So
yes.
You would have to go back and manually.
If it can't read the metadata, as a last resort, it's going to get what it can from the file name. That's the last resort. But here's a very, very big upside to all of this. If you were able to take all of your audio inventory and get all the metadata out into a text file, you can then run something like either Excel or this free piece of software called Modern CSV.
And just correlate the file number to the metadata file.
Yeah, I have a document that outlines how to do all of this. Column 0 ends up being the file name, because the file name will be used as the database reference. And then you put artist, title, and there's several other fields that you can put in here. You save the file out as a CSV file, and then RadioDJ, this is only a feature of RadioDJ Pro, by the way. You go in here and then you go into the this utility here, the tracks database updater, and then you would open up the CSV file in here, and this will allow you to squirt the entire enchilada into the database, and you don't have to go through title, by title and type them in. It is a huge time-saving effort. Let's say, for example, also you wanted to add the year to all of your titles. So you could open up that same CSV file where you would have a year column, and then you could get somebody to, now there you would have to obviously type the years in one at a time, because somebody's going to have to do those lookups and put that data in. The point is you would put them into that one simple CSV file, and then once again, squirt it into the database, and you're done. All makes sense?
So that's how you would end up moving from some other system to your system then.
Correct. There is a way. And you don't have to rely on dedicated utilities, or this is all standards-based stuff, so that there's always a way to get this right. These other conversion utilities are always at the mercy of the other database people being updated. People change their mind, the utilities don't get updated, and on and on and on. It's a constant fiasco.
So as long as you can export from whatever database you're currently in, you're in good shape then.
Yes.
Hmm.
And there would be no problem getting that kind of stuff out of Audio Vault, for example. Are you guys still seeing my screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let me take a look at something here. I have limited resources to look at here, but I wanna see something. Let's try this.
And
This is
that's
an Audio
what I
Vault.
was talking about, was
This is an
files.
Audio Vault. Yeah, this is an Audio Vault file. And
See, all they
don't-
usually have are just numbers, or with some letters in front of it, like Audio Vault or Next Gen or Wide Orbit, and all the other data is in the metadata file.
yeah, correct. Why is this not wanting to behave? Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. Here's that file. Now you see, before you actually import this, you can see what's going to happen here, because this is the same familiar screen. It picked it up. It picked up the title,
Which is just a number on this file.
correct.
So the only way you're
now that happened to be non-music, and was probably a bad example. Bear with me, you guys. Bear with me. Let's take this one.
sort those by size and get a big one, and you'd be sure.
I did. Yeah, this is a good size one. Yeah, I think this is good. I think we're going to be good here. So, yeah, it got it. That's what it got out of that. That's what it got out of the audio vault files. So, moral of the story is this thing will read the audio vault header, and you don't have to do anything.
Well, see, Audio Vault uses cart chunk.
They use a number of different things, and okay, this is a good time to show this.
Because that only had a number written
This
on
is
it.
my tried and true way of seeing what's really happening. This is a hex editor, and we're going to open that file. And this is what's in there. Okay, and yes, it is cart chunk.
Yep. And that was my question earlier, because I know that all the major brands, the big guys, and even BSI, who's not really a big guy, use the cart chunk. And so all you will have will be either a letter followed by some numbers, then followed by the header, you know, like
Yeah,
wave.
and you can see here that I'm not lying. Broadcast Electronics Audio Vault.
So it can read the cart
This
chunk.
is what's actually in the file. This is a hex editor, so we're looking at the binary information of that file. Nothing has parsed the file, so we know this is not lying.
So it actually read it. It
Yes.
got the title right, and it's got Manfred Mann written in there, but it didn't find that for artist. So that would be just a little bit of a rewrite in your program.
I think it did get it.
Did it get the artist also?
Let me go back over there. I think it did get it.
Because that would be wonderful. That would be really cool.
There you go. Yeah, it got it.
So it does read the cart chunk.
Yep. The only downside is you want, if there's any, you'll be at the same limitations that Audio Vault has with regard to limited character set.
Yeah, it put like the actual number of the file as the album.
Yeah,
and that's always been a problem.
That would be easy to fix, because what you can do now is, oh, you know what? I don't have all of the templates installed on here because we did a fresh install, but RadioDJ's got this. I always forget where this is because it's in one of two places. Am I missing?
That has been a problem with that before, because I know when I went to the Scott, he had a little labeling program called Love, Kiss, and Murder or something like that. It came out with a cute little logo. And the title and artist are pretty much standard, but other data ends up in incorrect slots on everybody's different version of cart chunk.
Yeah, that could very well be a little bit of that cart chunk. It's sort of like an outdated thing at this point.
Well, it wasn't standard throughout all the categories. Like title and artist are pretty much the same in everybody's rendition, but then year and album and, you know, other data is mixed up differently.
Hey, Greg.
Yeah.
Someone by the name of, it looks like Jaradman, wants to know how to set EOM segue points.
Thank you for reminding me about that. Barry, hold on to that just a quick second. Let me get through this, and I'm going to tell you something that's going to blow you away.
Okay.
Okay, I am now in the RadioDJ reports generator, and there is a, oh, it is in here. I don't know how I don't know how that, maybe because it was installed before. Okay, if you were to take this report and generate a report on the basis of this. Let's save it as a CSV. That's all the metadata that just came out of the database. Okay. And then if you save that, go to the desktop, that looks good. Okay, that looks good. That's all happy. That's happy. Let me find that thing. 727. Here we go. That should open up in our CSV editor. Yes. Okay. And there you have it. Now, what this doesn't have, and you have to manually do it, you'll have to fix the headers up. Oh yeah, there they are. You got to kill. You would kill all of that so that this is your top line, but never, ever, ever edit anything in here, because this is the database reference. This is how RadioDJ knows where to find these files. But
That's why they're all in one segment. I mean, one column.
correct. And then, can I get, yeah, there's all this stuff. If you, whoop, I'm on a dippy trackpad on this surface, so bear with me, you guys. You could go in here and fix all the album stuff. The year stuff might be wrong, but you could fix it. Okay. And then once you fix this, you save it out as a CSV and squirt it back in the database, and it all gets handled all at once. The other thing is this thing also extracts the album art. So if you want to do your own album art, you would put that on a web server somewhere else. And then inside your metadata configuration, you would point it to that. And then everything out here will get squirt out into the player, including, which is very, very value added, you could have artwork on your commercials. Something that I've not seen anybody do, mainly because everybody uses third parties for all their album art. And what do you know about that? They have no commercial inventory. So this is another revenue opportunity here that nobody is taking advantage of. Okay, I need to get going here, but I want to touch on the segue thing. All right. When you do the track import, that automatically happened. So your end segs are automatically computed. And RadioDJ, if I can say so myself, does a beautiful job of getting this right. If for whatever reason you don't like it, you have the opportunity to fix it.
Yeah, you can change the thresholds and everything.
You can change everything.
That's pretty cool.
And this is in the free version as well.
It's scary smart. It works great.
And this is in the free version as well. So you can, I think everybody can see here, this is not a toy.
Now, does the database contain all information for every cut available?
As you import your audio inventory, it's automatically filling out the database. And if you want to see that in action, let me bring up Heidi. And like I said, this isn't necessary, but it's a utility that's here. I might need to fix this. Let me just make sure. Okay. And there it is. That opened up the database, and that's what we had named it, as you recall. And there all that is. And there's the song database. And there's all the data about it. There's your cue points. There's all the metadata out there. Everything that went in here is all in the database. And if you have SQL experts, they can manipulate this. If they needed to do anything globally, here's your tool. Otherwise, really not a whole lot to concern yourself with in there. We should probably pick this up at a later date to get into more depth. If Barry wants to have me back, I'm open for that.
Oh, good.
But I do have an appointment that I have to get to over here at 1.
Well, you've only got about 25 minutes to get there.
Yeah.
Now,
So,
what's contained in the database, like the Maria?
Thank you, Ken.
What's
Could you, I'm sorry, I stepped on you. I'm so sorry. Could you say that one more time?
what's contained in the, I think it was the Maria database that
Yes.
was involved? What's in that? Is that
That thing that I just showed you was looking at the database.
okay? Safe to assume that that's a database of all data for
All events, everything that is inside RadioDJ is in that database. And let's just. Can you guys still see me?
two questions, Greg. One,
Oh, I've got to share again. Yes.
if you want to, yeah. One question is, how do you put a player on the website connected to RadioDJ? And second one, someone would like to know what the cost of the pro version is.
The pro version isn't exactly priced yet, but it is going to be a one-time buy. There will be support options, and there will not be any monthly costs. So it'll be yours to have and hold.
All right.
Okay. It will be a competitively priced. That price will be announced very soon. I lost my place. Oh, I gotta share this real quick. What was I was just gonna show something.
is it the
Oh, I know.
the database?
I know. Yeah, I remember. Okay, back to the database real quick. Okay. So go into RadioDJ business here. Here we go and open up the database. This we saw earlier when we first lit up radio for additional utilities that you have access to in here. This takes a couple just to open up. Without Zoom, this thing is like split. Zoom is really a lot of resources here. So just bear with this. I see it's coming. Come on, baby. You know, that's a long time. I'm not sure why that is. There we go. Here we go. Okay. In here, you can set up, there's database utilities. You would assign the directories. got an auto backup. Let me go through the motions here so we get this right directory. Since this is the Go version, we get this. Let me get it over to the right place. Oh, I didn't want to do that. This point there. Okay, good. So now, if you wanted to back up the database, you'd say that. I'm not close that in case we need to open it, take an attorney to come back up. Let's go over here, and you'll note here a little bit of lock. Back up file. Zero. I don't believe that. Yeah, something is really getting. There we go. Okay. We might need to run that again. There we go. Okay. Now we got something other than a 0 by file. But anyway, all that stuff that we looked at is in that file. So if you need there you can see all the stuff that's in there. It's a text file, but it's a database file. So everything that's in there. So should you have a hard disk crash or whatever, you can get everything right back to where you need. You go. You there, Barry?
Yeah, it seems like at least at this end, we've heard you kind of break up a little bit. I don't know if everybody else heard it that way.
Yes.
Yeah, probably the resource took a toll on the audio.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
The one question about affixing the player to the browser.
That's really another presentation.
Okay.
It's not really that complicated, but we do have free player code. But I'd like to, on that same presentation, maybe show everybody how to set up an HLS stream.
Okay.
You don't need a CDN to do this.
Tell me when you'd like to do it.
Let's do that offline.
Okay.
Yeah, but you don't need a CDN to do this, and any CDN that's out there is going to hate me for saying so, but hey, you don't need a CDN to set up an IceCast server either.
There you go.
A little bit of knowledge goes a really long way here, and I think I've shown you an awful lot of very, very powerful software.
Greg, every comment that's come down the chat and privately to me has been very grateful for you to be here today, and I am really thankful that you took the time.
Not a problem. I thank you for the opportunity. So yeah, Barry, let's get together and figure out when chapter 2 or 3 or whatever this ends up being is, and we'll keep going.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, sorry I got to go, you guys, but this is a hard 1 o'clock. So everybody have a great weekend.